Hello everyone, today I'm going to be reacting to Lucy Dacus Historian Album. If you would like to skip right to my reaction, I'll have a timestamp screen right here to where you guys can go to. And now on to a couple quick disclaimers. Number one, this is just my personal opinion and interpretation of the songs. I'd love to hear down below, just keep respectful please. Sorry for any background noise or dust particles that may occur throughout this video. I'm going to be stopping and giving my thoughts as I go along. I'm also going to have to cut out a lot of each song due to copyright reasons. If you see me looking down at my phone, that's just because I'll have the lyrics for each song pulled up. Lastly, if anyone else ever gets added, check down below, I might have a pin comment. And now onto track 1, Night Shift.
The first time I tasted somebody else's spit, I mistakenly called them by your name. I was let down, it wasn't the same. Trying to derail my one-track mind. Am I masochist? Resisting urges to punch you in the teeth. Why did I come here to sit and watch you stare at your feet? I feel no need to forgive, but I might as well. Let me kiss your lips, so I know how it felt. Walk 4 hours in the dark, feeling all hell. You don't deserve what you don't respect. Now bite your tongue. It's too dangerous to fall so young and lose what you never had. I feel no need to forgive, but I might as well. Pay for my coffee before the sun goes down. You've got a 9 to 5, so I'll take the night shift. Never see you again if I can help it. You've got a 9 to 5, so I'll take the night shift. In 5 years old, the songs feel like covers dedicated to
Okay, so my thoughts on that song. A stunning way to open up the album. I love the lyrics. She's a great songwriter, and I thought that her vocals were nice to listen to as well. I love the instrumentation. I appreciated how the song progressed, like the way that the guitars got heavier and the way that her vocals progressed as well was satisfying to listen to. The fact that it's 6 minutes is wild to me because listening to it, it sure doesn't feel that way, which I can really appreciate. The song just really takes you on a journey. Nice way to start off the album. Excited to hear the rest of the song. About the song in Genius, it says, "This is the only breakup song I've ever written. For a long time, I didn't believe expressing this sort of negativity was productive, but it's less productive to resist the truth of a situation. It's a hopeful song." Now onto track 2, Addictions.
freeze frame tied away in the passenger side. Remember me that one July, watching the planes at night. Now I'm awake at 2 a.m. without a cause to draw you in. Buy low, sell high, invest our time. I risk without reward, and I make you proud.
so my thoughts on the song. Really enjoyed listening to it. I thought that her vocals were pleasant to listen to. I thought the lyrics and the instrumentation were great as well. The only complaint that I would have about this song is I feel like sometimes the instrumentation drowns out her voice a little bit. So I feel like maybe if her voice was raised in the mix or if the instrumentation was like lowered, I feel like that would be a little bit better. But overall, I really like the song. About the song on Genius, it says, on the album's top second single, which she describes as kind of breakup adjacent, Dacus chides herself for developing a dependency on another person. I'm personally very adverse to addiction. I don't even drink coffee. I try to avoid becoming reliant on any substance. The only addiction that I know I have experienced is to somebody else. The theme is reflected through the song's insistent refrain, you've got addictions too, it's true. It's a singer's way of reminding herself that she has struggled with an addiction of her own. The song is about being addicted to a person and cycling back to people, even if your relationship has withered and it belongs to the past. And now into track 3, The Shell.
I'm a ghost walking in a boring dream. I am busy doing nothing. You're reinterrupting. You don't have to be sad to make something worth hearing. You don't wanna be a creator. Doesn't mean you've got nothing to say. I'm a ghost walking on an empty street.
Okay, so my thoughts on this song, really fascinating listen overall. I really love the music on here, and I thought that her vocals were suited very well for it, pretty to listen to there. Great songwriting, of course, on here. And so one of the lyrics that really stood out to me is whenever she said, you don't have to be sad to make something worth hearing, which is definitely true. And also her talking about you don't have to be a creator if like you don't want to, and like kind of like all these other things, like just because you don't want to be something doesn't mean that there's not like value. I think that's basically what she was trying to say, which I can definitely appreciate, and I like the song overall. Like it has like this haunting feel to it, which I really like. And I think it's kind of just her saying like, oh, I want to trade places with somebody else because maybe she feels like she doesn't hold value, or maybe other people aren't seeing her in the way that she desires. Something around there. I'm possibly getting it wrong, but that's how I'm feeling off it based off my first listen. But I really like the track. About the song on Genius, it says, the album's third track is a strange rumination on creative burnout, doubly so since the record would appear to be the result of creative flourishing. Dacus sings, you don't want to be a creator doesn't mean you've got nothing to say. She says, the song's about being confident through burnout and knowing that burnout doesn't last forever. You don't have to make something in order to retain your identity as an artist or a writer or a creative person. A lot of people think they have to be producing in order to maintain that identity. As for the song's title, it's also about feeling a kind of emptiness when you're not creating and feeling like your life lacks purpose or something. If you're not having ideas, you're just a shell. That's a sentiment I can definitely agree with because there's so many different things I'm interested in, and if I'm not partaking in one of them, I kind of feel like, what am I doing? Like I feel like I'm wasting my potential in that regard, and it's just a matter of like I should be doing it because I enjoy doing it and not like beating myself up for having other interests and stuff. So I definitely think that this track is great in that regard. Really enjoy it. And now into track 4, Nonbeliever.
Threw your books into the river. Told your mom that you're a non-believer. Said she wasn't surprised. You say nobody loves a city. One-way ticket in your pocket. You find what you're looking for. Oh, to send a postcard. You're dealing unspoken debt. But do I owe you? What did I forget? You shook my hand and said goodbye. You said I could have been a better friend. You find
Okay, so my thoughts on that song, very powerful to listen to overall. It seems to me to be about religion based off the title and the first few lyrics in the song, but maybe it can apply to other situations. So that was definitely an interesting concept to go around for a song. I think that she tackled it super well in terms of the songwriting, of course. I loved her vocal on it. I really love the instrumentation as well, very nice on the song, and I can appreciate how it progressed as well. About the song on Genius, it says, Dacus was raised in a Christian family in Virginia, but she no longer considers herself a believer in the traditional sense. Dacus says, coming out of Christianity was kind of a big process for me. I don't really talk about it that much anymore. Nonbeliever emerged from several discarded songs, one which was about telling my mom that I am not the Christian girl that she raised. She was also inspired by the story of her father leaving his hometown of Canton, Mississippi for Chicago, a similar attempt to shed one's identity. The resulting song chronicles several different types of non-belief: non-belief in religion, non-belief in a city, non-belief in a friendship. And now onto track 5, Yours and Mine.
I'm afraid of pain, both yours and mine. Somebody lit the store on fire. Somebody lit the crowd on fire. Marching away. You've got nothing to say for those of you who told me I should stay indoors. Take care of you and yours. Me and mine. We've got a long way to go before we get home. This ain't my home anymore. Somebody lit the house on fire. Marching away. You've got nothing to say. Those of you who told me I should stay indoors. Take care of you and yours. Me and mine. We got a long way to go before we get home. This ain't my home anymore.
Okay, so my thoughts on that song, I liked it. It had a little bit of a country flair to it for me. I think it's just because of her vocals, a little bit like the delivery there, and maybe a little bit of the instrumentation. So I kind of like that about it. I like the lyrics, vocals were nice to listen to as well. Good instrumentation there. About the song on Genius, it says, Dacus considers this track, which was inspired by the 2015 Baltimore protest against racism and police brutality, a centerpiece of the album, she says. This song is about admitting that you're afraid of pain and afraid of consequences of protesting, but making a decision to show up. Dacus was in Europe at the time of the unrest. She stated, I felt like returning to the US wouldn't feel like coming home. I have no pride in my country. The song climaxes with a fierce guitar solo by bandmate Jacob Blizzard. Dacus admits, I was a little worried that the solo would make people use the word Americana. There's a bit of a southern twinge on it. But if you listen to the album, it's not Americana at all. So that was definitely some interesting information to learn about the song and something that will make me see it differently in the future. I can appreciate what she was trying to do in terms of like the song's message. I think that it is important to talk about racism and how we got here and just holding people accountable because there's so many things that kind of go into it. I think it's an important conversation to have. So I can definitely appreciate it in that respect. And now onto track 6, Body to Flame.
Longing for your short hair to grow back to the way you like. I regret ever implying you could be better. Easily won, weary of losing. Will we break our rules? Get drunk in the dark. Laughing aloud at the spinning stars. Believe me, I'm speaking plainly. I see you holding your breath, arms outstretched to take me aside, to solemnly confide. And there comes the time you plan, give your body to the flame.
Okay, so my thoughts on this track, Very intriguing listen overall. It had this edge to it, which I really liked. I love the instrumentation. I believe that there were some strings on there, which was fascinating. Really great production on there. I love her vocals over top of it. Nice lyrics. And kind of going through it a little bit, I'm like, maybe this song is like about suicide, or just someone who really struggles with mental health in general, or just struggles with a lot of things that they're kind of dealing with, and maybe it ties in that way. I'm not 100% sure, but I could see it being about that. About the song on Genius, it says, the song takes its unusual title from the final line. You take me aside to solemnly confide when it comes the time you plan to give your body to flame. Dacus says, it's something that actually happened. One of my friends told me that they were going to light themselves on fire someday, and it hasn't happened yet. It felt like I was simultaneously really close to this person and far away from understanding them. Body to Flame has a shimmering orchestral dimension to it, with strings arranged by Blizzard. Dacus explains, it's about friendship and the ephemeral nature of knowing someone fully. That point where you're really close to somebody and the point where you're coming out of knowing them. And that's definitely something interesting to think about. It's always really nice to read this little Genius cards, and a lot of her songs have a really intriguing backstory to them, so it was interesting learning a little bit more about this one, I will say. Now on to track 7, Timefighter. Okay, so my thoughts on the song, really cool to listen to. I really like the guitar on there. I thought it was sublime. I really like the instrumentation across all these tracks in general, and just the way that the songs build up, so I don't get bored of that musically at all, and so I can really appreciate it on that aspect. And also like the chord progressions as well. I liked her vocals on the song once again. And I also really love the lyrics on here, especially whenever she says, I'm just as good as anybody, I'm just as bad as anybody. It's something that's really realistic, because a lot of people often are like, oh, I'm so much better than these people, and some people are like, oh, I'm so much worse, because of like depression and other factors kind of like tie into that. So I kind of like how realistic that line is, and I just really enjoyed listening to this track overall. Like it kind of had like this moody vibe to it, which I really liked as well. Another lyric I appreciated is whenever she said she's fighting time and then won in a landslide, which can definitely be true. Time can pass us by really quickly, and I notice this every single year. And I think it also might be a nod to Landslide by Fleetwood Mac, sang by Stevie Nicks, and kind of just talking about, you know, life's passing by, that like general sentiment. So maybe it kind of ties in there, or maybe it's just like a coincidence, but that's something that I really liked as well. About the song in Genius, it says, that song is about recognizing your own death. That's why it's so righteous. It's kind of a hard, harsh reality. Indeed, the song does feature a dramatic, squalling build-up, though the rhythm is bluesy and slow. She explains, that's another song I started writing like 5 years ago, and I just needed a band to come together. And now to track 8, Next of Kin. So I really like that lyric and how reflective it is and just how self-aware it is as well. And just talking about, I used to be so far in my head and just thinking about like a bunch of different things, and now I just feel like so far removed from myself, which is definitely an interesting juxtaposition. So I really like how she put those lines right next to each other as well. Okay, so my thoughts on the song, I would guess it's basically about someone who's like really depressed and they don't want to live anymore, and they're basically saying like, I'm ready to get my next of kin like drawn up, like I'm ready for them to deal with my affairs because I personally don't want to deal with it anymore because like what I'm going through mentally, and life can just like be a lot for people and they just don't want to deal with it anymore because like a lot of different situations. So that's what I would guess it's based off of the title and the lyrics as well. It just seems like this is about a person who is just not in reality, kind of just don't even feel like who they used to be, like they're completely out of body, they don't really feel connected with themselves. That's what I would guess. Maybe I'm completely wrong about it, but it kind of ties together in my mind. But I thought that it was an entertaining lesson all the way throughout. I really liked how upbeat it was, that juxtaposition of those depressing lyrics over top of it. Her vocals were nice to listen to as well. I like the instrumentation on here. I believe it was the drums that stood out to me a little bit more on this track, but nice track overall. About the song on Genius, it says, speaking of mortality, next of kin centers around a hell of a couplet. I'm at peace with my death. I can go back to it. Dacus explains, when you can admit you're going to die because clearly that is true, you can just decide to live. It's hard for me to think about all the books I'm not going to read, but I'm still reading books because they're still enjoyable. Time is running out. Despite those weighty concerns, the singer describes this as a more lighthearted song and the overarching statement of the record. And now on to track 9, Pillar of Truth. Okay, so my thoughts on the song. I'm kind of torn in it. I don't think that it's a bad song at all. I just think that it's not as captivating for me as the other songs on this record so far. I can appreciate how it built up. I just think I prefer the other songs a little bit more. And maybe this will grow on me a little bit more with time. I feel like the song doesn't really justify being over 7 minutes, but that's how I'm feeling about it right now. About the song Ingenious, it says, Lucy explained the inspiration behind the song in an interview with Tom Johnson. It's about my grandmother, and I wrote it while we were at her house in Mississippi, visiting her deathbed essentially. It's a positive song, and I have really positive associations with that time because I learned so much from her example and her strength and composure. Knowing she was gonna die and knowing all the people around her were afraid by that, she really took the reins herself. She planned her own funeral. She found new piano teachers for her piano students. She just really met the challenge head on. I really aspire to a level of composure when it comes to death because occasionally death just freaks me out so much. After reading what this song was about, I can definitely appreciate what she was trying to go for and like the meaning behind the song. Again, it's just not for me sonically. And now into the 10th and final track, Historians.
You said don't go changing, I'll rearrange, and I'll be your historian, and you'll be mine. And one day the motorcade covered in flowers will come to take one of us away. This is what I want to talk about. If past you were to meet future me, would you be holding me here and now?
Okay, as to my thoughts on this song, just wasn't really grabbing me sonically, just like the last song. I can appreciate the lyrics and what she was trying to go for, of course, but I felt like it was a little bit too slow for me. Maybe if she would have like sped it up and just like approached it differently, I feel like I could get into it more. But this song just wasn't for me personally, and that's how I'm feeling on it right now. About the song Ingenious, it says, in an interview shortly after Historian was released, Dacus opened up about the meaning behind the almost title track. I felt I needed to acknowledge that I'm one of the two historians in that song. It's a song about two people who are capturing each other's lives through words and experiences. And when one is gone, the other person is going to be left with facets of who they were through journals and photographs, so the song is titled Historians. One notable part of the song is the moment of silence in the middle, which Dacus called a quiet, somber question. She wanted to say, it's a question coming from doubt and anticipating loss. It was a quiet thought when I had it, and so it should be a quiet song. I realized that the song is the album's epilogue, that it breaks the rules set up by the rest of the album. The rule says that even though you can admit that life has to include pain, it doesn't mean that the pain is going to hurt less. It's a little step back from the triumphant statement of the rest of the record. And now I wanted to share my favorite songs of this album with you based off my first listen. So I'm going to say Night Shift. I remember really liking Nonbeliever, also Timefighter, and Next of Kin. I believe those are going to be my favorite songs in this album. Of course, this is going to change as I keep listening to the album. This is something that's happened to me before. Now I wanted to share my overall thoughts on this album with you. I think that this is a strong sophomore effort. I really enjoyed most of the songs in this thing. Like I said, the last two songs, I don't think that they were for me just sonically. Maybe those can grow on me as I listen to the album more. We are going to have to see. But there's a lot to love about this album. I love how the instrumentation progresses. It's really fascinating to listen to throughout there, and the instrumentation in general is just stunning. Great production there. Her vocals are pretty to listen to. And the biggest strength that this record has, in my personal opinion, is the songwriting. She is an amazing songwriter, and I just really love how she is just able to spill her thoughts out and just make them so easy to understand, but still so captivating to listen to. And so she's just really talented in the songwriting department, and she just understands how to write great song after great song after great song. And so I think that that's the strongest part of this record, and I love the melodies that she comes up with as well, and her vocal delivery is always interesting to listen to there. So I really enjoyed the record on that front. As for how familiar I am with her other work, I have listened to her last album, Home Video, which I really enjoyed, by the way. It was one of my favorite albums of last year. Really amazing album. I might do a revisit with me on that soon, or maybe I should just do a talking video on that. We will see what happens there, but I really, really love the album. And so I also did listen to the Boy Genius project that she did with Julian Baker and Phoebe Bridgers. Love that as well. I do have a reaction on that, and that will be in the cards right here to where you guys can go to. I'll also have it at the end of this video and down below in the description if you'd like to check that out. out. It was great to get to listen to another solo record from her, and then I have her debut to get to at some point. But overall, really enjoy this album, and I just feel like she brought so much to it, and it was a very interesting listen overall. But that's going to be it for my thoughts on this album. I would love to know what you guys are thinking down below in the comments. What are your favorite songs? What are your memories with the album? Anything else that you think is important to add to the conversation, leave them down below in the comments because I'd absolutely love to read them. But that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy it, give it a like down below. It helps me out so much in the YouTube algorithm. I very much appreciate it. You can subscribe right down below for more videos like this. You hit the bell. You get a notification on your phone when I post so you not miss when new videos come out. The first link down below in the description will be my second channel. I just posted a new video on there recently, and it was me unboxing Beyonce's Renaissance album and also box sets 1 and 3, so definitely go check that out if you're interested. I'm also going to have my Twitter, my Instagram, my Spotify if you'd like to follow me, as well as a link to stream this album if you're interested. You should definitely check it out. And lastly, let's educate you guys on important situations. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.